Get ready for Hosts at Home. On today's show, he's been an integral part of the game show world for decades. He knew Johnny Olson. He knew Rod Roddy. America's favorite game show announcer, Randy West, joins us. And now, here's your host, who interviews the host, Adam Wurtzel.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everybody. I'm Adam Wurtzel. Welcome to Hosts at Home, still the show where we chat with your favorite hosts, past and present. And Brandon is our fantastic editor. Hey, Brandon, for this episode only, you see that Hosts at Home logo on the bottom of the screen? If you could do me a favor and cross out the word hosts and write the word announcers. That's right, folks. One-time special. This man behind the mic on shows, these are small shows. You may have heard of something like The Price is Right and The Newlywed Game and Supermarket Sweep. And this man is a really good friend of mine, and I'm so happy to have one of the best announcers in the business. Randy West joins us. Hey, Randy.
Adam, great to see you, buddy. You're looking good.
Can I just say how excited I am to have you on the show, because the very first person that I spoke to in this business, I was a kid, was you. And you have inspired me so much over the years. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. I'm really thrilled to see the progress you made in carving a career for a guy with no talent. For a guy who's as wonderful as you are. Oh, I got you there, didn't I? Okay, buddy. I'm happy for you. I really am. And this series you're doing, Hosts at Home, is fantastic. I'm seeing all my friends, and they're telling all their great stories. I'm loving it.
And more great stories coming up here with Randy West in a matter of moments. First, we always like to ask, tell everybody, where is home for you?
Home is in beautiful downtown Burbank. I used to live in the other end of the beautiful San Fernando Valley, but all the studios are here, and I finally surrendered to not driving the freeways any longer. I used to leave 2 hours from where I used to live to get down to The Price is Right, because CBS was over this hill and under that hill and over. And if you're late, you're screwed. And you can't tell about the traffic. Now I'm like walking distance to Warner Brothers, the old NBC, Disney, and everything else is a short drive. I'm loving it. Burbank.
And we're going to talk about a lot of game show stories, of course. When I think of NBC in Burbank, I think of two of my favorite shows, Scrabble, Sale of the Century. I mean, there were just game shows galore, especially during the 70s and 80s. Did you frequent NBC in Burbank?
Yeah, I did some of the shows there, and when not, I would just walk the halls. I had pass. I somewhere to. I still have an NBC ID for a lot that doesn't exist anymore. But I would walk on and just hang and stick my head into the other studios. Security was mellow. If they knew who you were, they figured you weren't gonna, I don't know, break something. So, yeah, I'd watch all these guys work, and it was a thrill. It was wonderful. And I got my first booking there. I think the first show I did there was a pilot called Show Me. And I was terrible at it, but it was fun to work with an old RCA 77 microphone at the big Studio 4 at NBC. Who knows whose spit was in that microphone? And subsequently, I did a lot of shows at NBC, including I did Weakest Link. I did 21, that was about year 2000. And believe it or not, although it's not an NBC show, we did Supermarket Sweep at NBC, stage 9 for those who care.
I assume that was the biggest stage at NBC for that show.
Yeah, it was huge. But actually stage 11 was bigger. They used to have, when I was doing Sweep, they were doing Family Feud on one half of the stage. The other half was To Tell the Truth. So they had 2 sets in stage 11. And stage 1 is the one you always saw. Stage 1 is the one you saw with Johnny Carson at the Stein Show at the steep steps. Stage 3, Studio 3 at NBC used to be exactly the same. They leveled it, flattened it. But when the seats were still in there, I worked that room, and I said to Rod Roddy, I said, man, have you ever worked in 3? It's exactly like 1. And he said, yeah, with those high steps, it's a great place to work if you're a billy goat. That was Rod. He was always so funny. And I can't help but think of him because he was the first guy. I knew him in the 1970s from our career crossings at radio. And he was the first guy who I knew who was a friend who was actually doing this work. I'll give you a quick story, even though it has nothing to do with me. First time I visited Los Angeles was 1978. Rod had come out here and was doing some voiceover work, but hadn't gotten a TV show, had nothing. He picked me up at LAX, the airport, in a car that had no front seat. It was like just down to the springs, plywood on top of that and a blanket on top of that. He was living in a tiny studio apartment in North Hollywood, and he used to complain to me that the poop fan didn't work, and he kept complaining to the landlord. You know, you put the light on and the fan's supposed to go on if there's no windows in the bath. And he was living like a, you know, like a guy starving, a starving actor. And then the amazing thing happened, and he got soap. And I'm sure you know the story. The original announcer on the pilot for soap was Casey Kasem. This is the story of two sisters, Jessica Tate and Mary Campbell. These are the tapes. And that was the delivery. And Casey knew nothing about the show. He just cut this in the studio. So here are the Tates, here are the Campbells. It means nothing, right? Suddenly Newsweek writes an article about a brand new show going on ABC that has adultery and a homosexual and all. Casey read that and said, I'm not doing the show. I mean, he was very cautious about his image. I once picked up a job because he didn't want to do a Burger King commercial because it was meat. Didn't eat meat, didn't want to do a meat commercial. So I went in and I did a little bit of Casey Kasem for them. And Rod did the same thing. So Casey drops out of doing soap, and the agent was the same agent that Rod had. And he said, God, who do I have that can sound like Casey Kasem? He called Rod. He said, can you do Casey? Go over to whatever studio and do a Casey delivery. And that's why you hear, this is the story of two sisters, Jessica Tate and Mary Campbell. He's doing a light version of Casey Kasem. And suddenly, from driving around in a car with no front seat, he's got a home in a lovely area of the valley, and he's living like a king, and rightfully so, driving a Cadillac, you know. And you know why he bought a Cadillac? Because Bob Barker drives a Cadillac. Working for Bob was a hoot. Now, I'm not answering any of your questions. I'm just running with it.
You run with it. Run with it. You're making my life, Randy.
Just tell me to shut up anytime you like, okay? Eventually, I'll take a breath and you can jump in.
Talk about the first time. So Bob comes out, and I mean, I'm sure it was all a blur for you. Was it like an out-of-body experience the first time you heard Bob go, Randy, who's the next name on your list?
Exactly. He learned my name, so episode 1 that I did with him. Now, Randy, what's the next name on your list? And, you know, on the TV, you don't see him and the announcer in the same frame. You're really only standing, studios are small, everything looks bigger on it. You're standing 6 feet from the guy, so it's almost like conversational, maybe 10 feet. You know, but it's like he's talking to me and he's looking at me. And I almost went like, this isn't happening. You know, it was just so weird. There was just that moment, as you say, going, this is some kind of a fantasy. It's a movie. It's a virtual reality game they're playing with me here. Randy, what's the next name on your list? And there's just the slightest pause. Bob, I've got that name. It's Margaret New Hamilton. Come on down. And I was doing it. And it felt so at home because I had done announcing live into a show. You know, Bob Barker treated that show like it was live. There was no stopping tape or, delays. It took a 2-minute commercial break. It was 2 minutes in the studio, like it was live. Then you're working without a net. There's no way to screw up. You're dead. You're dead. And radio taught me how to be live, but it was nerve-wracking as hell at the first, couple of shows. And I'm not really proud actually of the first episode, but that's okay. You know, it was good enough. And I improved as time went on. But yes, it was surreal. It was just outrageous.
At the time that you did The Price is Right, did Bob still have his world's greatest MC sign?
Oh, there was no show without the world's greatest MC. And you know from Bob Eubanks. And for those who didn't see that episode, I'll give you the quick story. Bob had his world's greatest MC, WGMC, on his dressing room door, a plaque kind of thing. But it's removable, but it's there whenever he's there. The same studio was used by Card Sharks with Bob Eubanks over the weekend. Bob has always been a tech bad boy, kind of a, warped sense of humor in a way. You know him very well. You know him very well, so you've seen that side of him. So he takes the sign off the door, sticks it under the sofa, and goes home. Monday morning comes, and he gets a frantic call from Jonathan Goodson, Mark Goodson's son, who's then producing everything. And Bob won't go on until the sign is recovered, restored, and put back on the door. There will be no refrigerators given away, no cars, no rice-a-roni, until the sign is back on the door.
I still think that's just one of my favorite stories.
Wonderful.
You know, Bob was not the only legend that you worked with. The first time I ever heard your voice, Randy, you were saying the words Trivial Pursuit, the interactive game.
Trivial Pursuit, the interactive game.
You do it a lot better than I do, of course. Talk about working with Wink Martindale and talk about, you know, those game shows, because you did like a ton with Wink Martindale.
Wink was the best to work with. He was executive or co-executive producer, so it was his show. And he was generous and he was kind, and I benefited from two things. One was that he had once been hired to do warm-up. He was an on-camera talent, but he had to do warm-up on some show early in his career. He said, Randy, I don't know how to, I failed miserably. I kept doing it and never got any better with it. And I have the highest regard for those who can do it. And he named some other people he'd worked with, announcers who had done audience warm-up, and he had nothing but respect for that job and the people who did it. The other cool thing, well, this one very quickly, it was the interactive show, which you mentioned. People called from home. It was $4.98, and you could answer stuff on the phone. And let's go to Randy now to find out what you can win.
Randy, I know you're also, like me, not only in this business, but you're a fan of this genre. You're a fan of game shows. Does the fan in you make you better at your job?
Oh my God, brings passion to the work. If you, no matter what you do, frankly, you work on a factory putting cars together, you're on an assembly line, I don't know. If you bring passion to what you do, you'll be better at it. You're excited about it, positive energy. You never sit there if you have passion, saying, what time is it? Well, I gotta go home. When is lunch? This is ridiculous. Oh, I don't want to do this. You shuffle papers and you get distracted on the internet or something. If you don't like your work, and Bob Parker said this too, he says, I pity the people who have to go to work to do something every day for decades that they don't want to do. And he felt the luckiest man for having something he loved. And I never thought of it that way. I just felt that I brought and protected that passion. It's very easy to be cynical and sarcastic and, you know, he's goofing around again. What the hell? They never get the lights here right. Or, you know, why isn't the bathroom closer to the dressing room? You know, nonsense like that. But forget that, man. Burn it. Give that up. Let it go. Maintain the passion. Don't get cynical and sarcastic. And yes, that passion makes you better, of course. Anything you do that you love doing, you'll do better. And you know, my passion took me from when I was a teenager down to meet Johnny Olson at NBC in New York. I went down, sat in the audience, and watched him and ogled him, and you know, as a kid. And he put me in his warm-up act doing improv. Who wants to give me a cup of water? Some hands go up. I raised mine. He knew that I was like a fanboy, you know.
Was Johnny Olson one of the reasons, you know, besides, of course, the work, the motivation for you to move out west?
Actually not. I was in radio, and Joey Reynolds, the name that keeps showing up in my life, he was a big-time disc jockey and still does some television work. Joey had found a job with Wayne Newton because Joey, he used to work at 20th Century Fox Records. Wayne was at Fox Records. Wayne wanted to start his own record company. Joey Reynolds became president. Joey Reynolds called me and he said, you're on the East Coast doing radio. You know the radio guys, you know, the program directors, all this. Yeah, sure. You know, if we give you $300 a week off the books, quiet, we just talk to the guys and see if we can get the Wayne Newton records. Yeah, eventually, they moved me across the country and I did this promotion on a national level. So I moved to California on Wayne Newton's dime. And then I got out here and there's game shows. In New York, Johnny had put me on What's My Line as a disc jockey. I was a college radio disc jockey at the time. And I come out here, most of the shows had left New York. You know, there's nothing there. Well, there is now, again, a revival with Pyramid and a few other shows. But still, most game shows are in California. I came out here and, holy mother of mercy, look at all this stuff. It was a kid in a candy store. So I went on To Tell the Truth, All-Star Blitz, Press Your Luck, Face the Music, Sweethearts, and on and on. I did 9 shows.
Hitman, don't forget Hitman.
Hitman!
Hitman, that's right, Hitman, thank you. There's a couple of others. And now, God, this game shows, I'm inches from being something more than a contestant. I'm 20 feet from the host, 15 from the announcer. My God, how do I get in there? And I got a phone call from the producers of the shows because they are always developing new games and they want to run them, rehearse them to see if they work with people who know how to game. I mean, you could create checkers and it could look like it's a lousy game if the people playing it have no idea what they're doing. So they take players who know what they're doing in a game and we play it. And then at the end, they say, well, what did you think? And I said something to Jay Wolpert, who used to produce The Price is Right in the early days. I think I said something, well, you know, when the opportunity came to double the value or the pass, whatever it was, you know, there wasn't enough tension. It was an easy choice. Why would you ask me this or that? Because there was no, you know, it was easy. Next time I come in there, they've added something to the show. So he saw me as a thinker and someone to bring back. They gave me an opportunity to write on his shows. I wrote 100 questions for a show, and I thought at his, you know, audition, and I brought him in, and we were going to go over one at a time. I thought maybe I had 70 good questions. I had 6. So I'm not a writer. It was a tough show to write, but he gave me some breaks, and I appreciate that. So eventually I was doing what Johnny Olson did, which to me, as a schmuck kid sitting in the audience, ogling Johnny Olson, to be doing what he did for a living, talk about blow you away. I mean, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Live announce into a show, no post taping. Screw up and you're dead. You know, you don't want to stop tape. There's no editing budget for daytime game shows. So the pressure's on. So I'm doing what Johnny's doing. I'm holding my own, and then I get a phone call from The Price is Right, and I go down there and I'm standing at Johnny Olson's podium, wearing his old badge from CBS, and having some other trinkets from the boxes that I had. He saved his old badge, you know, when it's done or whatever. It was an expired badge. It was dated.
You know, Randy, I have been lucky enough to be in your home in beautiful downtown Burbank. Your home is kind of like a museum. You have game show props in this one room. Can you kind of walk us through it?
Yeah. My goodness. Well, the most honored possession I have is Johnny Olson's attaché case given him by Mark Goodson. That's cool enough because it's got his name on it. I opened it up and inside was a treasure trove of scripts, all the scripts that, for The Price is Right, that Johnny appeared in on those showcases, playing all those wacky characters, all those scripts. He has them all. Phenomenal. And personal effects and all these, as I went through, it was crazy. It's just wild. And the rest of the things, it's props, it's playing cards from the different games, Gambit, Price is Right, the Lucky 7, a big number. It's just all fun things that say to me game shows. It's props, it's little pieces, it's memorabilia, and question cards. You know, the host asks a question, the card just goes in the trash. Well, you know, I'm not above picking up a few things out of the trash. And there's all these cool questions, and Ann Robinson's notes as to who got what right and what wrong and what round and what she's going to say. Her insults are all on the cards, which is kind of cool to look through. And cue cards from the last Hitman episode. Peter Tamarkin reading off the card saying, "Thank you, it's been a wonderful run. I want to thank our executive producer." Yeah, it was all on cards, and that was cool. And I picked, somebody actually, I forget who, handed me the cards because I was the last guy as a contestant. There's all these little, they used to call tchotchkes, little pieces from different sets. And they all say to me, game show, which was a passion from a childhood and remains so today. I'll get up any time of the day or night to work a game show or to watch a good taping of one.
You know, I try to ask this question, and sometimes in reality it gets edited out of the shows that we do. Bob answered it best with his answer of the Diamond Head game, of a show that he did that he just thought, man, I don't like this show. Was there ever, whether it was warm-up or announcing, did you ever have a game show gig that you went in, and you don't have to even say the name if you don't want to, that you said, this is going to get canceled, or man, I hate this job?
Both. The show was all new Three's a Crowd. Well, this was an old Chuck Barris show, and it didn't work for Chuck Barris in the 60s. You bring in the husband, the wife, and his secretary in the old days. Now it was the boyfriend, the girlfriend, and one of their exes. And they're all just gossiping about each other. And who wants to hear that? It's TMI, too much. And my job was to make the audience, having them, the whole show was, ooh, because he says, well, she never treated me that way. Or, every episode, every 5 seconds, it's an ooh, oh. It's like practicing your vowels, ah. It's ridiculous.
We're coming into a world, we have been in a world lately of game show.
In a world.
Like
you're doing a trailer. In a world where one man faces humanity. Go ahead.
We do literally live in a world where every game show is coming back. And several ones that you worked on. Weakest Link with Jane Lynch. Supermarket Sweep is coming back. I mean, there are so many shows and in prime time. But to the purists, a lot of people say they just don't feel the same. What makes a good game show reboot, in your opinion?
We went through the 1990s trying to restage formerly successful titles. But everybody who was producing at the time felt they needed to update everything. Let's update it. When we do Pyramid, and this actually happened, well, in the 6 trilons, the categories are in the winner circle, let's put people in there instead of like the dollar amount or a clue. So now when we go to the first box in the 60 seconds, instead of reading things in your purse, there's Joanne Worley, and she's saying your driver's license, your lipstick, your credit card. Why, just trying to change. Then you go to the next celebrity. Why are we doing that? What's the point?
Like you worked on an example. You worked on a pilot called What the Blank that changed Match Game.
It's America's favorite new comedy show, What the Blank!
Yeah, they turned the thing into something else entirely. You had people's inner thoughts playing, I wonder, you don't see their lips moving, it's them in reverb going, I wonder if she's stealing my answer. Why are we do? What's that about? The stars of the show, always on a game show, are the contestants. So why are we focusing on the panel? They get their moment when they reveal their funny answer. What makes a good reboot? Leave it the hell alone. You're going to try to reinvent the wheel? I don't think it's going to be as round as the one that came before.
Randy, that sound.
Yep. Oh, that sound! I heard it.
You heard that sound?
I heard it. It sounded like bells going off or something. I thought it was an acid flashback from college. What does that mean?
That does not mean we're about to listen to the birds turn back from college. That sound means it is time for the lightning round. Randy, this is so easy. I'm going to name a show that you were involved in. All you need to do is give me some of that famous Randy West announcer lingo. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'll try it.
All right, let's try this. First show, we got to start with the iconic one. Give me a little Price is Right.
Here it comes from the Bob Barker studio at CBS in Hollywood. Television's most exciting hour of fantastic prizes. The fabulous 60-minute Price is Right. Adam Wurtzel, come on down!
That was awesome. All right, let's
go. Iconic. It's wonderful.
Let's go with another famous show. Maybe not the most famous version that you announced. How about a little Newlywed Game?
Here come the Newlyweds. Da 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 da. Today, here's so and 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 so. From Hollywood, eHarmony presents the Newlywed Game.
All right, next in the lightning round, got to have you do a little supermarket sweep.
Betty bounces a bevy of butterball birds into her basket. Now she heads for the back of the market. Look, she's got the giant wedges of cheese. Will she get her limit of 5 and 4? 5 she does. But where's team 2? They're making that famous left-hand turn into the meat aisle. They're going for those big sides of beef. They'll really beef up your score, too. And next, look, those giant gold-wrapped Farmer John hams. They're a favorite with our players. But look, here comes Team 3. They're making the road route into the supermarket down the center aisle. What are they looking? It's health and beauty aids. You know, there are big prices on those little products, 5 of each, and you can really add up the score. And on and on and on. I loved that. It was a jigsaw puzzle that had to be put together. It was play by play. I had a script, is what they called it, but it was a guide, if you will, where they're going next, what they're grabbing, and what happened. So it's a play by play kind of thing, and it was really a test of, you know, your mettle, your ad lib ability, a puzzle to put 3 minutes of that together, working off of what you're seeing and some crib notes.
I love that. Next up, let's go deep in the archives to Shuffle the Interactive Game.
Today, one of these 4 players will win a trip to St. Lucia on Boggle, the interactive game. And here's your host, Wick Martindale.
Because essentially, Boggle, Shuffle, and Jumble were all one and the same.
It was the same, slightly different set, same studio. We milled them out by the thousands, and it was great fun.
Randy, before we let you go, this might be an easy question. This might be a hard question. I don't know. If you had to pick, what is your favorite game show of all time?
Wow. That's tough. I got to go with The Price is Right because everyone's favorite. It was around, you know, before some of us were born. And it's the pinnacle. It's the main room. It was the classiest show on TV. And being there had special significance to me. So I can't help but be swayed in that direction. It may not be a totally objective opinion, but I like that. And I liked all the games that I was on. Press Your Luck was just freaking phenomenal, man.
Randy, it's been a pleasure having you here on Hosts at Home. Thank you, first off, very much.
Thank you.
If you like what you see, we always say it. Please hit that subscribe button. It is due to the magic of editing on your screen right now. We sure appreciate it. Our guest today on Hosts at Home has been the incredible Randy West, our very special announcers at home. And you know by now, I don't close the show. So the man who gets to do that is you, Randy West. Randy, over to you.
A big responsibility. Lead Press on Nails, Beauty of High Active Hands instantly with Lead Press on Nails. Mrs. Frances Gallons by Bonwood Tiller. This program has been recorded. This is Randy West speaking for Adam Wurtzel. Goodbye from Hollywood. Thanks for joining us on Hosts at Home.